Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today we're going to get on the top end of the Yamaha 250MX 1972 model. Everything's, we've already checked it, we've already checked the rings, everything's been checked. All we'll do is just give it a good kind of a cursory inspection and clean it up, get it ready to install. And we should be able to get all the top end on. I'm wanting to go through the timing and before we put the head on, and maybe get get the reed valve in and the carburetor on. So let's get to it. Okay, I think I've got everything I need. So we'll start here with getting our base gasket down. And looks like that away. And I'm going to get a little bit of assembly lube, try to get that down into the slot on the crank. It's already got some in it, but we'll just give it a little more. Work it in there. You can use whatever oil you're going to use or whatever. I just prefer this because I'm not real sure how long it's going to set before it gets used. So I just do that on some of these, like the bearings like that, just so it doesn't just flow out of it. You know, it's got some kind of a stickiness to it. And I've already got the clip in on one side of the piston. So let me go ahead and give this a final wipe here. And we'll put a little assembly lube in there. Like I say, you can use your oil. I just like to do this. And I've got my new bearing, and we'll get a little on it too. And get it installed. All right. Get our piston, and I'm going to put a little Yamaha lube on the pin. And while I'm at it, I'll just stick a little in the piston bosses too. All right, arrow to the front, holes to the back. Let's get it lined up. There we go. All right. Yep, get it lined up, Dale. What am I doing way down there? There we go. All right. I'm just going to put a little padding there while I fiddle around with this keeper. And also put me a rag down here so I don't have to go hunting for it if it goes down there. It's a good thing to do, guys. I've had to chase them before, and it's a really tough one to try to get them out of there. Try to get it in there as best you can. Get a good grip on it, and then get your thumb over it, and then until you can get it snapped in. See, I'm getting part of my little paper towel under it there. There she goes. All right. All right, let's get the rag out. I'm just going to leave that one there a little bit while I get the ring in. And I'm just going to put a little oil on that ring. And our alignment pin is right here. And we've got the orientation right. All right. And looks like it's going in all the way. Okay, I've just before I started this, I went ahead and cleaned the cylinder again with ATF, automatic transmission fluid. And now I'm going to put Yamaha lube in it. And work that in. I like the looks of that nice fresh hone. Sure looks pretty in there. Alright, let's see if we can get this done. I usually have a little better luck if I've got that down to the bottom, so I can kind of get this started. Got my little plastic tool here. Helps sometimes to push the ring in. My problem is I'm a little bit cockeyed here, I think. There she goes. And looks like the gasket is still in good shape. Make sure you don't curl it under as you drop it in. Okay, that looks good. Arrows to the front. Okay, let me get set up to do our timing. We do that before the head goes on so we can get a good shot at our dial indicator. Okay, you like to say the cylinder head has got a very steep angle at it, so we need to set this while it's still while we still have the head off. And I've just made this little setup here. It's not a big thing to put one together. I got a big one there. All right. And this doesn't have to be tight. I'm just snugging it up. And then we can go ahead and get our dial indicator in. Okay, let's get this in there. And I need a little screwdriver to tighten that up. Just snug that up. Probably going to have to have that down a little bit more. It's running down about there. All right, there's our top dead center. And we're going to back it off. Down here on the rotor. This way is the direction the engine runs. And we brought it up to top dead center there. Now we back it off the other way. To 2, there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, right there. Okay, looks like I've done pretty good getting it set up. Let me get you down there so you can see. Okay, we've got our 2.3 before top dead center, and tells us to line up the mark on the pulsar coil with the flywheel. We're just about there. I'm going to loosen this up right here and move it just a little bit. And we'll just twist that just this way a little bit. That looks good to me. Okay, and just check real quick, make sure we've got our screws tight on the stator. Okay, I like that. I think we're good. Okay, so we can go ahead and get the dial indicator off. Should be good. 2.3 before top dead center. It's just really simple to make. You just get a little block of aluminum or steel or something, drill your hole for the size of your dial indicator, and put a little screw in there to hold it. And this one here, of course, is going to be the size of your head studs. And you just need a little spacer to make up for the length on the head. And that should be good. So we're good here. Okay, let me get a little bit of light oil inside the nuts here, just so they'll torque down nice and even. We've got our homemade washers on there. If you remember, made those during one of the videos leading up to this. And we'll just go ahead and get this stuff tightened down. Okay, then we're torquing, and I'm just about done with the torque. I'm going up in increments to a final of 325 inch-pounds. It's supposed to be between 300 and 350, and I'm just going to go to 325. And that's where we're at right now. Just do your cross tightening, you know, back and forth, corner to corner, all the way up. And I started at 150. I just kind of ran it up with my ratchet, and then went to 150, then to 250, and then to 325. All right, guys. Yeah, everything seems to be on the up and up there. All right, so we're going to get our intake put on. Here we got a new gasket and actually a new reed plate. I got it for a song, so I went ahead and picked it up. And our boot, you don't need a gasket there because it's sealed around here. And we've got some new hardware. And kind of the same thing here, you know, just use good shop practice when you're tightening fasteners down. Give them that kind of cross tightening fashion. And try to, you don't need to torque everything, but just try to get it in a good fashion and to the same amount. And let's see, this is supposed to be the carburetor for it, and I've got to tear it apart and look, but everything looks like it's going to fit. So let me do that. Another thing I did do, see if I can get you down here, is since this is a 72 engine and I'm using a 73 ignition system, I had to enlarge the hole a little bit there to get the three-prong plug in there. Let me run it around this way so you can kind of see. Well, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, I just had to kind of enlarge this hole a little bit. I think maybe on the 73, 74 they came through here. But I wanted to try to keep it as original as possible. And I was contemplating cutting out a little area right here for the grommet. And I thought, no, let's just enlarge this one, and that's what I did. And that seems to work a lot better. These are just such a much better ignition than the 72. Okay. All right, so let's get our cover on. I got the gasket on there. I got 2 screws in there trying to kind of hold it. And we'll just get that started. These cases, some of them aren't the most beautiful, but at least they're not broken. Maybe a little bent and scratched up here and there. And I'm still going to need a breather right here. I think I got one. I think they're probably the same as these right here. I think that's one thing. Those things, they're about $7 from Yamaha. A little piece of plastic. That's kind of irritating. And then we've got our new eccentric. I'm not sure what you call that in there. And we can get that on for the time being anyway. And remember, we had to repair this back one here on the case. We had to put a new, or we had to weld it up because it was broke out. And I actually even found a little cap that goes in there. I'm kind of thinking I don't want to put it in there right now because it's probably going to be pretty hard to get out. Well, I don't know. Nope, there it goes. Popped right in. Should be reasonably easy to get out. And did get a new clamp for the carburetor. So that'll go up there. And I think that's about all the parts we've got. I've got to go through the carburetor. And let's see here. I really need to plate this plug. I'll just stick it in there for now. It needs to have zinc plating put on it. I guess I missed it when I was doing everything else. We'll just get that in there for now, and I'll find a plug, spark plug or something, and we'll get that in there. There's probably not the right one, but it's just something to plug the hole. And I just had this cable and clamp, and I don't need it with this one, the way it goes in there, so I think we're good to go. I don't think we'll have a problem with the cable. But I just had to enlarge that just a little bit just to get the 3-pronger in, because on the 72 I think you have a 2-prong, and then the rest of them are single bullet connectors, I think. Can't remember. But that's how this one is, so I had to enlarge that hole just a little bit. And we've got to plug the oil injection port too. I'll just put a bolt with a copper washer on it there, and that should suffice at that area. Everything else looking pretty good. Like I say, we'll take a look at this next. I don't remember what the deal was. Maybe it didn't have it when I got it, but I think it looks like either I plated this choke or I got a new one. Yeah, it's been used. Maybe it might have just been it was missing a lever. I can't remember. I've had all this stuff quite a while, and I just can't remember from one thing to the other. I probably opened it up and looked at it, but I don't think I checked it to make sure it had all the right jets and all that stuff in it. So that's what we're going to do now, and we'll go ahead and clean it up. I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing. I think what we'll do is we'll just go through the disassembly and checking the jets, and then I'll do the assembly later on. You've seen me do assemblies before, and I'm sure that you folks have done your fair share of them too. Boy, it looks nice in there. Yeah, looks really nice. Boy, that was a clean one. Well, that's loose, so I don't think I was in it. But obviously somebody else was. I'm pretty old, but I don't think I'd completely forget to tighten the needle and seat up. We'll get this in the ultrasonic cleaner and give it a good clean. Sometimes the bigger one will go in there, but doesn't look like it's going to this time. I like to use the biggest one I can get to fit in the slot on these pilot jets. When I buy a carburetor like this, I'm always, until I get that thing out, I'm always kind of apprehensive to how things are going to be. I actually did a video on one that was stripped out, and I took it out. So if you've ever run into that and you haven't seen that video, look that up. It's, I think, removing a stuck pilot jet or something like that. This really looks nice in there. Okay, let me get my book out and we'll go over the required jets. Okay, first thing, just take a look at the main jet here. And it's a 250. And according to my book, that's the standard one. Yep, standard for the 250. Right here. And the 360 would get a 370, it looks like. So the main jet's right. Let's see here. The needle should be a 6F5. Yep. And it says that it goes in the 4th groove. So right there, 6F5, number 4. That 4 means that it goes in the 4th clip, and that's where it is. 1, 2, 3. No, it's not either. It's got one more to go, but we can move it down. All right, now let's check the pilot jet. I think that's over here. Pilot jet. Okay, according to this, either bike gets a 60. And that's a 60. Oops, I'm dropping half my stuff here. All right, the needle valve 4 should be a 3.3 on either bike. And that's what we got, 3.3 right here. And now we need our needle jet, or nozzle they call it. Okay, the 250 gets a P5 and the 360 gets a P8. So we're looking for a P5. Yep, P5. Right there. So the last thing we need to check is the slide. DT gets a 2.5, the 360 gets a 3. So we're looking for a 2.5. And it is. Yep, right there. So all the jets are right. It's just off one on the needle as far as the clip goes, but we'll get to that when we, and it may be fine for this altitude, I don't know. Actually, I imagine that the jet will be too rich here. We're not quite a mile high, so we'll probably end up having to go to 240 would be my guess. 250 is the standard one, and then they have a 260 and a 240. But you know, everybody knows that that's just a rule of thumb. You've got to go out and do your plug checks and all that in order to find out what you really need. So it looks like everything is good here. Yep, I got a gasket under here, so that's good. Looks like there's a gasket under that. So all we've got to do is just clean this up, and then it'll be ready to go. And again, I'm using this parts list. I have just found that these give you a lot more information than that. This is where I get the size of all the thrust washers and stuff from. You're just, for the most part, you might find one once in a while, but you don't find one the majority of the time as far as the sizes. They always break them down, the ID, OD, and thickness. And they even give you the seal sizes, so you can, if you can't find one for whatever reason, you can take, it's an S-type seal, and it's a 20 millimeter ID, 30 millimeter OD, and 7 millimeter thickness. So this just provides a lot more information. Anytime I can get these books at a reasonable price, I do so. And this one here is for the DT2MX and RT2MX. And I've just got all my little parts. I got a little basket that I use, and that way you don't lose anything. Get the rest of this into the ultrasonic cleaner and we'll clean it up. So there's our finished engine. Too bad we don't have a bike for it. So maybe eventually we'll find one, we'll make one, or I don't know. But at least we were able to make one good engine out of the two that we had, and it's pretty complete. I'll find the breather, and then we'll be, I think we'll be good to go on that. Okay guys, there you have it. The 1972 250MX build is complete. I'll go ahead and get the carburetor cleaned up and reassembled, get it on there. And at some point, I don't know when, at some point we'll probably go ahead and fasten it down like I have with a lot of the other bikes or the other engines that I have. And we'll see if it'll run. But not sure when that's going to happen. I've got some other stuff going on as far as we got the F7 Kawasaki that we're starting, and the weather is starting to straighten up. We're in for rain tonight and a couple days of snow, maybe 6 inches they're talking about. But it's springtime here, so snow like that will go, it'll be gone in a couple of days. We're looking like we're going to be back in the 60s by the weekend. So it is springtime, things are warming up. I'll be able to get outside and start cleaning up some of this stuff with the hose and getting a brush out there and soap and water and whatever I got to do to clean stuff up. Then we'll start inspecting and repairing, just like we always do. Start with the frame, kind of start building up, and we may be on the F7. I'm not sure where we're going to be at on parts, so that's something. It's really difficult to find parts for these early Kawasaki's. So thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.